Focused learners, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding what is honestly the ultimate modern sporting evolution. We're going to break down exactly how biomechanics and cutting-edge psychology have taken what looks like just chaotic, hyper-aggressive power hitting and completely transformed it into a highly calculated, repeatable science. We are looking under the hood at the hidden mechanics behind modern cricket's absolute most explosive batters.
Okay, let's dive straight into this concept. Hitting sixes is the new defense. Now, that is a wildly counterintuitive hook, right? I mean, hitting a six is literally the ultimate act of aggression on a cricket pitch. So how on earth could it actually be defensive? Well, if you look at the modern era, especially with T20 formats and the whole baseball revolution in Test cricket, maximizing boundary output has genuinely become a defensive mechanism. It is all about instantly transferring the pressure right back onto the bowling side to protect the batter. Think about it. Traditionally, defense meant, playing out a maiden over. You respected a good spell, you got your head down, and you focused simply on surviving. But today, clearing the infield early is what fundamentally protects the batter. The exact moment a bowler concedes a massive six, they almost always panic. They immediately abandon that ideal top-of-off stump line and start throwing in defensive wide Yorkers or slower balls, which, let's be honest, are actually way easier to predict. Plus, hitting those big shots completely shatters the fielding side's confidence. Disruptive tactic isn't just about closing your eyes and swinging wildly. It is firmly grounded in elite biomechanics. And that starts with elite players like Kane Williamson and this fascinating concept of the meat of the bat. It's that absolute perfect sweet spot of the blade. When you watch Williamson play a cover drive or an on drive, he finds that meat of the bat on almost every single shot. And the really crazy part here is that this isn't an accident. It's definitely not just good luck. It's a total masterclass in footwork, extreme patience, and pure physics. So how does he do it? Let's meticulously dissect those movements. First off, he plays the ball directly under his eyes. Most batters get themselves into serious trouble by reaching out, trying to hit the ball a few inches ahead of their body. Williamson, though, he waits for the ball to travel incredibly deep, so it is literally right beneath his eyes. Second, he maintains these incredibly soft hands and a high elbow. His top hand does all the guiding, while that bottom hand remains completely loose. We're talking sometimes gripping the handle with just a finger or two. That incredibly loose grip absorbs all the shock if the ball seams or bounces out of nowhere, and the high elbow guarantees a perfectly straight vertical arc. But now we're going to see how the next generation is taking those exact classical biomechanics and literally weaponizing them for pure power. Well, here is the secret sauce. Early judgment plus perfect timing equals maximum velocity contact. Suryavanshi is applying the exact same physical principles we just talked about with Williamson. The perfectly still head, his power comes entirely from judging the length of the ball a split second earlier than a normal batter. He doesn't panic. He gets his body perfectly balanced, brings his head right over the ball, and generates just unbelievable bat speed. He's hitting the sweet spot of a heavy bat at the exact microsecond of maximum velocity. Boom, unlocking the flow state. Because processing all that physical information that incredibly quickly, that requires a major shift from the physical to the mental. Hitting a 90-mile-per-hour delivery requires tapping into pure subconscious muscle memory. To understand this flow state, we really have to look at two massive, real-world biological hurdles these batters are overcoming. First up is the sheer limitation of the human eye. Elite batters do not actually track the ball all the way down the pitch. They can't. It's moving way too fast. Instead, their brains possess this almost biological superpower, anticipatory vision. They're looking at the bowler's wrist release and the seam position during just the first 10 to 15% of the ball's flight, and their subconscious mathematically maps out exactly where it's going to land. Crazy, right? The second hurdle is the fear complex. Look, when a solid leather projectile is flying at your head at 90 miles per hour, your absolute natural human instinct is survival. Flinching is normal. To cleanly execute a lofted drive instead of getting out of the way requires completely, utterly overriding that deeply ingrained biological fear.
This brings us to such a brilliant insight from the source material we've been analyzing. A batter noted, "When I hit my first 100, the next match I played like another batter." This perfectly describes the next match phenomenon. Think about it. When you lack confidence, your brain is just filled with conscious noise. You're worrying about edging the ball, you're worrying about getting out, and all that mental noise, it literally slows down your physical reaction time. But when you're coming off a huge success, like hitting a century, you have immense, unshakable confidence. That confidence completely silences the inner critic. You aren't overthinking your footwork anymore, you're just seeing the ball and reacting instantly. That right there is the flow state in its absolute purest form.
Training the subconscious mind. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, okay, that's great for absolute prodigies, but what about the rest of us? Well, while your genetics, like your natural visual processing speed, might set your ultimate ceiling, absolutely anyone can drastically raise their baseline. You don't need freak genetics to access flow. This is where the Abishek Sharma blueprint comes in. Under the mentorship of greats like Yuvraj Singh, Sharma practices something absolutely vital: aggressive intent. If your mindset is defensive, if you're thinking, I just need to survive this over, your brain naturally plays defense. That leads to overthinking and that dreaded mid-pitch hesitation. But if you have high intent, meaning your baseline thought is, if it's in my zone, it's going over the fence, you are aggressively committing before the ball is even bowled. By locking in that aggressive intent early, you completely bypass conscious hesitation. You're freeing your subconscious to just instantly, automatically react to the length of the ball.